Alright, hello citizens of the Nigelverse. It's Nigel here once again, and this is going to be another movie review. Even though we're not quite done with our look at the Superman movies just yet, and we'll get to that more, this technically was the last Superman movie in the initial series, and the last Superman movie for 19 years. And you, my friends, are about to find out why. You know what time it is. You know why you're here. It's time for Superman 4: The Quest for Peace. As always, I'm not professional movie reviewer or analyst, just a man who enjoys a good time, which wasn't here, unfortunately. And like I said, you're about to find out why. So if you see these reviews of mine before, you kind of already know how this works. If you haven't, I'm going to be talking about what I liked, disliked about the movie, as well as giving a brief plot summary. So let's just get into it. Starting off with the plot summary, I do have the wiki here for reference, just in case there's any points I miss. We start off in outer space. He's with some astronauts, had some Russian astronauts. One of them, I'm singing Sinatra of all things. And the astronaut almost gets it's knocked away from his ship from some debris, and it nails him right in the face. But Superman and saves him, puts him back in, and then drops back down to Earth. So that was for nothing, I guess. But nevertheless, as we then see him on his family's farm. His mother, of course, has passed away at this point. He's trying to figure out what he wants to do with the farm. Doesn't quite want to sell it. Just for it to be redeveloped land. So he's hanging on to it for now. But he does go back to the capsule that he found earlier in the series, in the first movie, that essentially brought him to the Fortress of Solitude in the first place. He goes back there and finds a green Kryptonian energy module. At least how it's described here. Or a luminescent green Kryptonian energy module. At least how it's described here. Pretty much just like a crystal. I think it might be the same crystal that Superman had in the first place. When he found the Fortress of Solitude, they just repurposed it. But I can't quite know for sure. But nevertheless, and a recording from his mother states that he can only use it once to revive his power. So if he runs out of power, if he needs it, he can use it to revive his power, which means he will definitely use it to revive his power. But we'll find out more about that later. He had Metropolis, and the Daily Planet's being taken over. Harry White is now out. Oh, and David Warfield takes over as well as his daughter Lacey. So they take over the Daily Bugle. Lacey's kind of crushing on Clark Kent though. But Lois is back in this movie. She was absent for the bulk of Superman 3, but she's back for this movie. Cool. And then and and we learn that at the United States and the Soviet Union and are gonna be engaging in a nuclear war. The president makes the address saying that the accords have fallen through, and thus the United States will be second to none in gaining nuclear weapons. So nuclear warfare, and that's gonna play a somewhat pivotal part in this movie. Superman at first doesn't intervene and is trying to think what to do about it. But not just that's because of what Warfield is doing with the paper, or is that being writing. As the movie puts it, as the plot, I should say, plot summary here puts it, sensationalized headlines, and by that I mean straight up lying. And Superman is written a letter from a young boy asking Superman to help out with the nuclear crisis. Why specifically the letter that the little boy wrote ended up to the Daily Bugle and had and had Lois Lane and or Clark Kent given the letter to Superman, and then have the letter be given to Clark to be given to Superman. I have no idea, but Superman then pulls up to the United Nations and says that he will rid the world of all the nuclear weapons, which he does. As he takes all the nuclear weapons, some surrender them, and others Superman takes them all into outer space and pretty much casts like a giant net and just shoves all the nuclear weapons in that one giant net. The world no longer has its nuclear weapons. But then in the meantime, I'm Lex Luthor, who is also returning for this movie. He is broken out of prison by his nephew Lenny. After Lenny tricks the guards, and Lex has a plan to essentially somewhat clone Superman, and he does that by getting a sample of his hair, which is in a museum, and holds 1,000 tons. They say it was donated by Superman to show how strong his hair is, and it holds up this 1,000-ton boulder. But Lex and Lenny break in and snip away at the hair, collect the hair for themselves, and the boulder rolls nice and gently into a hole, just in case the hair gets removed at some point due to, say, a supervillain showing up and cutting the hair and taking it for himself. Then Lex makes a deal with some black market arms dealers, or is that at least how they're described here, and all three of them essentially. He because of course Superman and then Lex preying on Superman and his war on nuclear weapons, using that to exploit them to trust him. They say, "Why should we trust you?" And Lex says, Superman took away your nuclear weapons, took away your toys essentially. So we can bring them back, and Lex wanting it cut and all that. Lex also takes the hair and mixes it with some other material, attaches it to a nuclear missile, and lures Superman into throwing it into the sun. He infiltrates a military base, has it test launched, and then Superman takes the nuke, throws it into the sun, not knowing what's there, and it literally gives birth to essentially a somewhat clone of Superman, and called the Nuclear Man, even though it's given from the sun and not nuclear power. Sure, why not? Nuclear Man, and it comes down to Earth. Earth initially opposes Lex, but we find out his weakness is that when the sunlight isn't there, he essentially shuts down. That's the major caveat with Nuclear Man. But otherwise, Nuclear Man super powerful. Then eventually as Superman and is going to go on a date, and it's kind of some hijinks here. It's supposed to be a double date. Lois is going to interview Superman, and excuse me, Lacey wants Clark to show up. So Superman and Clark essentially have to be in two places at once, because obviously they're the same guy. So we get those hijinks in this movie. But then, and Superman does fly off because Lex lures him. Lex uses Superman's super hearing against him. Pretty much what he did in the other movie. He lures Superman in and then has him fighting the Nuclear Man. And by fighting, I mean Superman and the Nuclear Man spend a majority of the time chasing around each other all around space in different landmarks, such as such as a volcano in Italy, the Great Wall of China, which Nuclear Man initially destroys, but Superman puts together by having his blue vision, which just picks up the rocks and puts them back in the wall. Oh, when the hell has Superman never been able to do that? If that is an actual power in the comics, I apologize, but otherwise, so Superman, and it's not heat vision, it's happy vision. That's literally what I was thinking in my head when I saw that, but no less. But then finally, he the Nuclear Man drops Statue of Liberty, but Superman catches it and tries to bring it back, but is scratched by Nuclear Man's claws, his radioactive claws, because he's made with nuclear energy, the solar powered kind. But he scratches the back of Superman's neck really hard, and Superman becomes infected with radiation sickness. It loses his cape, and I guess to an extent his powers, or so. Everybody thinks Superman's dead, to the point where the Daily Planet also makes the headline that Superman's dead, at which Lois is upset about, and Lacey is also having second thoughts about saying, and that's really what makes Lacey have this change of heart. Not of all the sensationalized and overly dramatized news headlines, this is the one where Lacey's like, okay, now we're going too far. Like we can make up this other stuff. We can tell Superman, we can say to everyone that Superman told the kid to drop dead. That's literally one of the headlines. And it's after the boy writes the letter to Superman. But saying Superman died, no, that's going too far. But Superman's cape is left on the desk as Lois grabs the cape. She heads over to Clark's apartment, and because Clark Kent also hasn't been in a while, but Superman, not Superman, but Clark is obviously still sick from the radiation sickness, but makes it seem like he's actually sick with like the flu and stuff. So they have like a heart to heart. Lois tells Clark that she loves Superman and everything, and essentially leaves the cape with him, and then. And Clark gets the energy module, heals himself, and now goes back to fight the Nuclear Man. So the Nuclear Man then develops a crush on Lacey for no reason whatsoever. Like, at first I didn't realize what was going on. Like, you saw a picture of Lacey as the editor for the Daily Planet, and then just went off to find her. Like, I was confused at first. I was like, oh wait, why is he doing that? Why is he going after Lacey? Why is he randomly going after Lacey? Yeah, according to the wiki here, and I guess the implication is that it's supposed to be a crush, but I totally missed that. I guess that flew right over my head. So Nuclear Man pretty much just going after her for like no reason. But nevertheless, as Superman shows up, Nuclear Man threatens to hurt people and starts causing chaos all around the city until Superman gives her up. Superman and tricks Nuclear Man into going to an elevator shaft, and Superman carries it all the way into space. Ace drops on the moon, but because a little bit of sunlight goes into the shaft, Nuclear Man and comes back to life. Ivan takes out Superman, and then the Nuclear Man and gets into the Daily Planet, abducts Lacey, carries her into outer space, and Lacey is just able to breathe in space. Okay, sure. So Lacey, he's able to breathe in space. Sure. Why not? Why not? But anyway, yeah. So, she's carrying outer space. But Superman stops him. Causes a eclipse by just pushing the moon in front of the sun. On which Superman, that is a very irresponsible move, but it's okay. He had to stop Nuclear Man, the Nuclear Man who's powered by the sun. Yeah, that Nuclear Man. But Superman then drops him into a. So he does first drop Lacey, returns her to Earth, which she probably doesn't need to do because she can breathe in space. Ace and then drops Nuclear Man into a nuclear power plant, which releases electricity and supercharges pretty much everything. Sure, or because that's how that works. Sure, why not? But there's enough goofy stuff in this movie. Hey, anyway, hey, what's one more? Sure, why not? I mean, I'll talk more about it when I get into my likes and dislikes. But everything resolves itself. Perry White gets the majority. He interest his takes out a loan to get controlling interest in the Daily Bugle, and makes David Warfield the minority shareholder, therefore pushing him out of the company. That he then and Superman grabs Lex and Lenny, drops Lenny off at a boys' town, which I guess like a school for young boys, and it's actually based off a real a real organization, and then drops Lex back off in prison, and then Superman and shows up, make a speech. He's saying that world peace cannot be achieved instantly, but when people want it hard enough, they will fight for it. Okay, that's not exactly how that works. There's some steps you're missing there, but sure, or why not? And then Superman, just like he always does, flies into outer space, hastes to continue on. And yeah, that's the movie. So okay, getting into what I liked and what I disliked. Uh, Starting with what I liked. Uh, uh, like, like the characters are still fine, I guess. Like Christopher Reeve still does a good job as Superman. And Perry White is up to his normal. Even my camera is done with this movie. It doesn't want to focus. Come on, camera. I know. The movie was really lame, but we gotta finish the review. But Perry White was up to his normal antics. Lois Lane, they're kind of still doing that whole love interest. She loves Superman. Kind of just sees Clark Kent as kind of like a little brother kind of thing. And Clark Kent still the fish out of water. Stuff that's been carried over from the other movies and has, for the most part, worked for the other movies is carried over here. So I guess that's okay. Lex is still the somewhat evil genius. Is So that's that. And of course Superman's still doing Superman things, which sure so that all that I think is fine, I guess. As but but So there's that. In terms of what I disliked, pretty much everything else. You knew we're off to a rough start when even the opening when the opening credits looked pretty cheap and pretty bad. Nowhere near as much flair or high quality as the other opening credits for the other Superman movies. So, oh yeah, that was already a bad sign. Things to come, and I was like, we're in for a bad time. I mean, we definitely were. Like Lex definitely him and Lenny. He definitely more on like the bumbling and kind of saw I like Lex is still supposed to be evil genius, but definitely wanting to play up the comedy a bit more. Which no, no. Oh, like it was present, but here it does get pretty lame. Nuclear Man and as a villain, I think is all wrong. Like like they get some part of it right. Hey, him being able to physically match up to Superman, sure, I think that's okay. Even causing Superman to fall ill with nuclear radiation to where people think Superman's dead. Sure, I think that can kind of work. But everything else, I was like, Nuclear Man is really forgettable. He's a solar powered nuclear man, and doesn't have much development as a character, and and yeah, just as and has too many chefs in the pot. They try to have like Nuclear Man be the main villain, but and also Lex Luthor be the main villain, and they try to do both, and they end up not really doing either. Or but, but Nuclear Man he tries, but it just doesn't it just doesn't pan out the way I think that they wanted to. And then and then them going back on Lana Lang from the previous movie just to bring Lois Lane back in. And honestly, now that I think about it, now that I say it out loud, their names kind of sound similar, so I guess that was the idea. But then bringing Lois Lane back in, I'm guessing Margot Kidder wanted it some screen time again. She was mostly absent for Superman 3 because of her problems with Richard Lester, but now Richard Lester is out. This movie directed by Sidney J. Furie. Not sure if I'm pronouncing that name right, but I guess because of that, Lois Lane can come back, and she plays a bit more of a role in the movie, even getting like upset and everything. But otherwise, just kind of falls flat. Unfortunately, it doesn't feel as rewarding or interesting as as the previous as her previous encounters with Superman, or her previous kind of relationship with Superman that's being revisited for the sake of this movie. And then kind of Superman's stance on the nuclear weapons. Like I think the idea was that, like, hey, you can't be as rash. It's not quite as simple as let's just get rid of all the nukes. Now, admittedly, war and like nuclear warfare is kind of a touchy subject, and I don't want to dance around it, but I don't want to go full on into a discussion slash debate that I'm not fully prepped for, or and that I'm not fully knowledgeable about. How obviously I know kind of the basics, but I don't want to. I don't want to like get too deep into it and talk about it's where I make like a necessary judgment call. Oh, but the movie's showing that it's not quite as simple as let's just get rid of all the nuclear weapons and then everything will be fine. I know there are some layers to that, but I'm not gonna comment on it further, but I feel like that does kind of get lost in translation, and it does make Superman look kind of dumb, unfortunately. Especially when one of them births the guy that goes after Superman, and one of the nuclear weapons, and like if you want to do if you want to do like a stance of nuclear weaponry, he is or perhaps unnecessary, and maybe we should do something about it. Then why have Lex be like the stand-in villain? And it almost does feel kind of backwards in a way, like Lex tries to get involved in the weaponry, then Superman gets rid of the weaponry, then Lex tries to profit off of it. Having Lex try to profit off it first, versus then having Superman stop Lex, then be like, okay, nuclear weapons are bad, let's get rid of them, and then that births the nuclear, then that inadvertently births the nuclear man, then he has to fight off the nuclear man, then he makes his speech at the end, which again, not really how that works. Like, I think that order of things would have made the movie slightly better. I don't know if it still would have been good, but I think it would have made a tad bit more sense. And let me know if I'm wrong about that. And if I'm totally incorrect about that, if you agree or disagree with that. But I feel like the way that the movie kind of goes about trying to have this discussion, and I think and try to have like this commentary on like warfare, nuclear warfare, and stuff like that. I think it's in all the wrong places. It's set up so weird, or it's set up so wrong, and it almost doesn't feel like Superman's thing. Am I wrong about that? Am I thinking too deep into it? Am I not thinking deep into it enough? Let me know. But yeah, it felt really weird. And then and some of like the scientific inconsistencies. Now, granted, this is obviously fiction. Like it's not supposed to be realistic. I know some people want some more realism, but the realism for the most part goes out the window when you have a guy born from a distant planet who can fly and has a bunch of superpowers and stuff. And look, nothing wrong with that. It's unrealistic, and that's fine. But but Lacey being able to breathe in space, which I feel like her character is kind of underdeveloped. Of like their character just boils down to she's rich, but then she has a change of heart. Like if they would have expanded upon it more, her and had some more interaction and more chemistry with her and Clark. I think it would have worked out, but it didn't really work. But her just being able to breathe in space normally, a nuclear man powering a electric stuff when dropped into a nuclear device, and being a solar powered nuclear man. That I think is where things like, okay, that's pretty dumb. That's pretty silly. And I think I kind of get it. Like, he's supposed to be electric, so him being dropped into the nuclear reactor or means hints at electricity's power, but it destroys him. But not really how that works. So that's really backwards in that part. But then the final thing, and I also have to bring this up, the effects like as well. Like this time around, I get to bully the effects because the effects this time are terrible, even by like 1987 standards. Like the effects from the earlier movies, I didn't want to harp on them too much because it was a different time and a different era. But this time around, no excuse because the effects from the other movies look way better. Or some of the effects here were literally copy and pasted, such as like the effect of like Superman flying and everything. And some of them were literally copied and pasted. And even from that opening credits, like the other ones from the other movies looked way better. So it's like what happened? What on earth happened? But and now for the big thing, the main thing. I'm sure that a lot of you guys who have seen this movie have been probably waiting with bated breath for me to talk about. Let's talk about it. This movie's only an hour and a half. Yeah, I tap danced around it enough. It's time to address it. This movie's only an hour and a half. It's the shortest Superman movie, and it definitely does feel rushed. So, the anecdote here, or kind of note here, says shortly before the film's production, the film's producer, the Cannon Group, suffered a major financial crisis that forced major budget cuts, and 45 minutes of footage were deleted after negative test screenings. Upon release, it was widely panned by critics and fans alike, with many reviewers citing poor special effects, inconsistencies, and plot holes, and no further Superman films were released until Superman Returns in 2006. Which that I kind of talked about in the beginning, but yeah, 45 minutes of footage being deleted slash like lost due to when they say negative text screens, that means the audience didn't react. Like the test audiences that they didn't react well to it. I wonder how you can sign up to be a part of the test audience. And maybe I'll do that at some point, and kind of be a part of like a test audience, for like a movie or something. I don't know how you would go about doing that, but nevertheless, that definitely does explain a lot. Now, would things have worked out better perhaps if the footage was still included, if we got all the footage? Who's to really say? Would it have been worse if it would have been included? Who's also to really say? But yeah, the movie definitely did feel rushed. But even with the story they were able to tell, it still felt all over the place. It might have gotten there. So there's a chance that maybe it got better with the included footage, but it might also gotten worse with the included footage. But yeah, there wasn't another Superman movie for 19 years until Superman returned in 2006. So we actually have a few more stops. So first of all, there's a Superman movie I totally missed. It's less Superman and more Supergirl. Yeah, they made a Supergirl movie in 1984. Didn't realize it existed until after I finished watching Superman 4. To quote the late, great Tony Stark, and I'm paraphrasing, Supergirl movie, I would have reviewed you, but I was too busy having no idea you existed. So we'll have to go back and watch that. Then we'll be watching the Richard Donner cut of Superman 2 and reviewing that. And we'll be capping off our look at the Superman movies with Superman Returns. So we're going to be finishing it up. I'm hoping to have it finished around hopefully the end of February or beginning of March, one of the two. So we're almost done with that. And what a journey it's been. And we've seen the highs and we've seen a low, especially with this movie. But where the other three movies rank, we'll find out. But nevertheless, thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please do me a favor. Like, comment, subscribe. Share it with your friends. Turn on post notifications so you know every time I upload a video, so you can see as soon as it drops. Let me know in the comments. Did you like the movie? Did you like my review of the movie? Let me know. If there's any points I missed, please let me know. And of course, if you have any other movie recommendations, whether movie series or just singular movies, please feel free to let me know. Whether in the comments or on my social medias, I have a Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, so go follow those. I'm trying to get active on those again, but. You can put it in messages there, or you can drop it in the comments. Anyway, you're able to get a hold of me. Please let me know. But nevertheless, thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you guys later. Peace.